Good evening, ballers and ballettes. Welcome back to our 7th episode of Been a Minute. It's Coach Anand speaking over here, and I'm with my co-host, Coach Oli. Coach Oli, say what's up.
It's good.
And we got producer P in the building.
What up, what up, what up, what up?
And we also got a very special guest. I'm going to let producer B introduce this man, the myth, the legend. Coach, producer P, take it away.
Yes, this fine gentleman, I had the wonderful privilege of coaching him when he was in high school. We played provincial. He grew up in Southwestern Ontario, London, Ontario to be exact. He is a lifelong Raptors fan. So any Raptors fans out there, be sure to check out Coach. We call him the Lefty Specialist. He modeled his game after Damon Stoudemire. He played his 5 years of high school ball at Mother Teresa Catholic Secondary School in London, Ontario. His OVA with London Ramblers and London Orion, where I had the, again, wonderful privilege of coaching him with Orion. Went down to play NCAA Division III at Manchester United, where he was the captain in his senior year. They went to 22-7 and made a deep tournament run. Won many awards and accolades, most especially mental toughness and most improved. He's currently the coach over at Lebanon Middle School in Indiana. He's been married to his wife, Chelsea, who also played for Manchester on the women's side. They have a 3-year-old son named CJ, and they're expecting their second child anytime now. He's currently also a firefighter for the Indianapolis Fire Department. And like I said, he's a lifelong Raptors fan. Welcome to the show, Coach Peter Krill. Coach, you there?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be on.
Thanks for being on the show. We always like to connect with fellow Canucks that are down in the U.S. How's things over there in Indiana with March Madness?
Oh, it's great. It's pretty exciting. Got the whole tournament in one city, so it's pretty cool.
So logistically speaking, before we go to the rapid fire questions, logistically speaking, how are they doing that?
So Indianapolis has a huge convention center, and their whole downtown has been built for sporting events. That's why they get a lot of Final Fours and a lot of football, college championship games and big events. They were supposed to have the All-Star weekend here this year, and basically the convention center is connected to all the hotels, and then it's also connected to all of the sporting arenas. So they basically blocked all the hotels, the convention center, and then the football stadium and the basketball stadium. So you can't get in or out. It's very controlled. So that's how they're able to do it with all the COVID restrictions going on.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. So before we start, who you rooting for? Who's your squad?
I'm going for Gonzaga if you're putting money on it, but otherwise I root for every upset possible.
So you're the guy that gets to get the bracket busted. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. Well, thank you for being on our show, and Coach Anand has some great questions for you. So Coach Anand, take it away.
Hey, Coach Peter, how's it going?
Good.
Okay, just gonna get right into these rapid fire questions. We know you're Canadian, but where are you from and where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Southwestern Ontario. I lived in Kitchener for a while and then moved to London, basically in London from grade 5 through high school.
London from grade 5 to high school. Okay.
Yeah.
And where did you go to school and what did you take?
I went to Mother Teresa Catholic Secondary in high school, and I did a lot of chemistry stuff there. And then for university, I went to Manchester University, which is in Indiana. And I ended up being a business major when it was all said and done.
Pretty cool. How long have you played basketball, and where did you play? And in post-secondary.
Yeah, I played at Manchester. I remember playing in 1995 when the Raptors had their first season, and then I started going to camps since then. So I've been playing since 95.
So the Raptors have been a huge inspiration to your basketball career.
Well, I didn't like hockey, and the Raptors came around, and I was 7, and I went to their first few games, and I was like, I love this. Who's that short guy? Damon Stoudemire. He's left-handed and short. I'm left-handed and short, so that's kind of how it started.
He's obviously your favorite player. Okay,
I don't know who my favorite player is. I have a long list. I kind of update it every once in a while, but yeah.
What's your favorite Raptor then?
I mean, you got to go Kyle Lowry if you're a true fan.
Kyle Lowry. All right.
10 years, all the ups and downs. Historically, the best player on the team. He's my guy.
I can see that. I can see that. How long have you been a coach for?
So I started officially coaching 5 years ago at Lebanon.
Yeah.
But I did camps like when I was in high school. I was a camp counselor for like kids in grade 1, 2, and 3. But officially a coach for the last 5 years.
And how's that been? You must really enjoy giving back to the community of basketball, right?
Yeah, it's great. I love coaching. I mean, I love basketball, and coaching is great. I love coaching these kids here. It's crazy here. I mean, I've been coaching in middle school, and we get like 500 people to our games. We're a pretty good big school, pretty good program. We've had some pretty awesome rivalries in the last few years, and it's middle school. When I compare it to what I grew up with elementary in Southwestern Ontario, it's like, hell, in high school, we never had more than 100 people to anybody.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Elementary school, it's competitive then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we go, like, during the season, we do practice 5 times a week for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then we do about 1 hour film session twice a week too. And that's what I'm doing for my middle school kids. It's what the high school coach wants. And that's pretty much every program. It's crazy.
That's good. Get them started young.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your journey?
Yeah. As far as basketball goes. Yeah. I mean, so I fell in love with basketball, and turned out I wasn't terrible at it, so it's something I kept pursuing.
Any ups and downs you ever had in your basketball career that you can remember?
Ups and downs. I mean, yeah, you play long enough, you have really bad games, you have some great games, and you have like long stretches where it kind of gets rough. So I knew like a big goal of mine was to play collegiate basketball at any level. And based on my skill, size, and athleticism, I had a pretty good idea like what kind of college player I could be. Like, I think it was in grade 10. I knew it was like, I'm not going to go D1. There's no chance of that happening. No real chance. Not that I didn't work hard, but I kind of realized I'd be like a Division 2, Division 3, or an NAIA player in the U.S. So that's what I kind of focused my goals on. And after grade 12, I graduated. High school, I got accepted into the University of Waterloo's engineering program, but I didn't have any offers to play college basketball, and that was my goal. So I remember being really down about that, having a conversation with my dad about like, I know I'm set to go to a pretty good school and a pretty good program, but I really want to play college basketball. I can't be done right now. So I don't know what it's like over in BC, but in Ontario, you can go to high school for an extra year and play sports. So I said, Dad, can I basically go back to high school, take nonsense classes? I mean, I already got accepted to college or university, and really focus on this basketball thing. And my dad said, yeah, let's do it. Let's go full in. So
that's awesome.
I mean, I worked really hard that year on my game. I also had to promote myself. That's year, coach helped me out. That's when he was coaching me in OVAs that year too. But I sent my video to about 100 schools, my DVDs in the mail, got responses, had some coach come when we were coaching in our provincials up in Ontario in the Sault Ste. Marie. And that's the school. Yep.
Wow. That is that's a pretty good story right there. Really inspiring journey, like how you didn't give up and how your dad was super supportive for you to redo grade 12 here. I don't know, like I'm just thinking for myself, like I don't know if my dad would even let me do that just based off our cultural background. You have to keep going to school. You can't redo school if you already passed, especially if you've gone to such a great program. But
I was terrified when I was talking to my dad and my mom, because I was like like everything was set. It was all lined up, but they knew what my goal was, so they supported me in that fashion, and I do feel lucky to have had that opportunity.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you don't like hockey, right? So do you play any other sports though, other than basketball?
I did cross country in high school, but that was to stay in shape for basketball.
Yeah, same.
That's about it.
Okay.
What else did I do? I played badminton too, but that was just for fun.
Badminton, yeah, that's a pretty fun game.
Yeah.
What's your favorite food and why?
Favorite food?
Yeah, shake it up a little bit.
Spaghetti, because it's easy and it still tastes good.
I like that. It's easy and tastes good. It's efficient.
Yep.
Okay, Coach Peter. Last question from me. What's one thing not too many people know about you? And you don't have to go too personal if you don't want it. You don't need to expose yourself or nothing, but just like what's something that you can't look up on the internet about you?
One thing I can't look at. Oh man.
You don't gotta say anything if you don't feel comfortable, but just like
I'm a pretty boring guy.
You're a fiber. That's not a boring life. That's a pretty. I did not get that in the memo about you. Like when Coach Paul just said that, I'm like, hold up, he's a firefighter. That's crazy. Like that's awesome. That's like a lot of people's like, it's hard being a firefighter. I heard, isn't it?
Well, this is a basketball podcast, so like after I got done playing basketball, I mean, I got a job in business, which is what my degree was in, but I missed that team camaraderie, like playing a sport, that locker room sense. I missed that. Like, you guys saw how hard I worked to play college ball at a small Division II school or whatever, and as like you get doing your job in the business and nothing feels the same. And some guy said, "Why don't you try being a firefighter?" And I applied for it. I got it, and lo and behold, it's as close as it can come to playing sports again and being in the locker room. I mean, you spend 24 hours with your team, like 8 other guys that you got to practice and be ready to go execute with, and you get pretty close. So it's really cool. But yeah, being a firefighter is hard, but it's also fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
No, it sounds awesome. Like that totally makes sense why you'd want to be a firefighter. Like that, I feel like a lot of it's hard for a lot of ball players if they don't make post-secondary or even don't after post-secondary, if they play basketball post-secondary, they don't make it anywhere else with basketball. Adjust to normal life. You don't see the team anymore. People just like it's hard to transition into the real world without
definitely
camaraderie.
Yeah.
Well, I totally get it. Thank you so much, Coach Peter. That's all the questions I have for now for you. Been really cool talking to you. My co-host, Coach Oli, is going to have his questions lined up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Coach Peter. How are you?
Not bad.
So I've got some questions for you. Have you traveled much? And if so, what's been your best or most favorite trip and why?
Yeah, I've gotten around quite a few times. Been to, I think my last count was about 12 countries that we've been on. When my wife and I got married, we said we got to hit at least like 5 different countries up before we start having kids. So best place I've been to was Greece. We flew into Athens and rented a car and just drove around the country to random spots, staying at like people's houses and stuff like that. Got to see a lot of the country and unique stuff that you wouldn't, way off the beaten path. So that was the coolest trip I've ever done.
I bet that was because of the food and just the scenery. It's probably really beautiful there.
Yeah, it was great. Beautiful. The food was great. It was awesome.
So if you were stranded on a deserted island, what are 3 things that you would hope you could have with you?
A boat, GPS, and some food.
Nice.
But I think I sidestepped your question. If I was stuck on the island,
yeah,
I would just
the boat doesn't count.
The boat doesn't count. If I was just stuck on an island, I would go with some like seasons of The Wire, Breaking Bad, basically a TV and a Netflix account. That works.
Yeah, entertainment, nice.
Yeah.
You like sweet or savory foods? Which one do you prefer?
Oh, I like both. I
Like
wouldn't
both.
be able to pick. Yeah.
So we hear that Coach Paul coached you before in, you said OBA, I think, or at provincials. What
Yeah,
was
it's
that like for you?
OBAs. Yeah, no, it was great. Looking back on it, I was actually just looking at Coach Paul on Facebook because I remember thinking he wasn't that much older than me when he coached me, and that seemed to be the case. And I was like, man, I couldn't have handled a bunch of kids in grade 11, 12, and 13 at his age when he was coaching us. The way he handled it was amazing. Loved his passion and his energy. That was clear from day one that he had that, and it's obvious with what he's built over in Vancouver, this academy. So, yeah, it's just his passion and energy is what stood out that one year.
It's awesome. Like I'm sure from what I'm hearing from you, that's no different from what he's doing at here, Foreign
Yeah.
Basketball Academy.
Yeah, I don't know how he deals with us.
What's your all-time favorite basketball or like playing or coaching moment?
Playing moment is my senior year when we won our conference tournament at Manchester. We played in the Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference. That's basically 10 schools in Indiana. And man, everybody in Indiana is really good at basketball. So even if you're playing Division II, Division III here, the talent is across the board amazing. And the school was in a small town, about 5,000 people lived there. Our school was very small. But we were getting about 4,000 people to our games in my senior year because we were really good. And that conference tournament was championship was televised. We had like the whole band on the stands, and it was just a fun game. That whole experience was jaw dropping. And coming from Canada where it's nothing like that, like I was always jealous because the guys that I played with, my teammates, who I'm still friends with today, and like best friends and stuff like that. But they always tell me like you don't know anything. That was just a small school. Like their high school games were the same, but even more passionate fan bases. And I've been to high school games here, and just seeing that, being able to play in one game like that was amazing. And then seeing that's been really cool. The best coaching moment is we played a really good team 2 years ago. It was when I was coaching 7th grade at Lebanon. We were underdogs, and they were bigger than us, better than us in every way. I actually went and scouted them a couple times because I knew the game was coming up, went over film, and long story short, we beat them into the ground and ended up pulling out a victory by just like playing a slow, thuggish game. Didn't let them get into it, and that was my favorite coaching moment.
Right. You gotta force them to play your game, not their game.
Yeah, you can't beat
So
them.
what's your favorite NBA team?
Yeah, favorite NBA team is the
Raptors.
Toronto Raptors.
Raptors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Favorite NCAA team?
I don't have a favorite NCAA team. I never have. I've just always loved watching it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, March Madness is always great.
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of music and why?
You guys are gonna kill me on this one. I don't really like music.
What?
Oh,
I told you I'm a weird guy. I mean,
that's fine.
What are you listening
my
to for? You get a game.
before a game,
Yeah. Like
it's
to
been
get you
so
hyped
long.
up.
It's been so long since I played a game like that had music. It's been
Oh my god.
10 years. 10 years since I played a meaningful basketball game, but I just listened to whatever the guys in the locker room put on. It didn't bother me.
All right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
works.
I listen to talk radio and the radio or podcasts. That's all I listen to.
I'm not sure about this one, but you have an all-time favorite basketball movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Sure.
it's changed throughout time, but I mean, I've seen Space Jam
Yeah.
about 20 times in the last 3 months because my son loves it. So I don't know if I can say that's my favorite anymore.
That's a classic.
Yeah, loving basketball is probably my favorite.
Loving basketball. That's been quite a few people's choices in the last few episodes for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, that was my last question. Thank you for answering my rapid fire questions.
Yeah, no
Coach
problem.
Paul, Producer P.
Yeah, no, it's I was just reminiscing from that year with you, Peter, with it was you, was it Clinton, Matt
Mhm.
Fennell,
Yep.
Actually, I talked to him a few months back. He says I should say hello to you. He's actually in Vancouver. It was who else is in that team? I can't remember the rest of those guys, but you guys were a bunch of rowdy guys but when it was game time, you guys hooped. Let me tell you. We got to Division 1 and got up to go to make that trek up to Sault Ste. Marie. Oh Lord, but it was a real treat coaching you. On the other side of this commercial break, we're going to get into some nitty gritty about life and NCAA and life in general. We'll be right back.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Forum Basketball Academy, located in Vancouver, BC. Forum Basketball Academy offers multifaceted programs, including one-on-one private training and film study, with NCCP nationally certified coaches. To find out more information about this and other program or league opportunities, check them out at forumbasketball.com. Forum Basketball Academy. Become your best with us.
All right. Welcome back to a commercial. Welcome to continuing with our show. We are joined today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're joined today by a wonderful man, wonderful player, wonderful coach, in Coach Peter Krill over in Indiana. Coach, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, awesome. It was great to get to know you, Coach, in the beginning part in this first segment of the show. We just wanted to get into the nitty gritty because our topic for episode 7 is NCAA, March Madness, and life prepared. And what we want to know about, again, your journey, but the nitty gritty of it and how basketball has shaped your life and shaped you and how it prepared you for life. So I'm going to stop talking because I just want to sit back and listen to this. And Coach Anand, take it away.
Hey, Coach Peter, I got a real good question for you. You ready for it?
Yes, I am.
All right, sir. Do you believe that your journey through the basketball and NCAA prepared you for life? Please explain.
Yeah, no doubt. I explained before about my goal playing basketball. It was the driving factor in a lot of decisions that impacted my life in such big ways. I decided to pursue basketball after by going back to high school for 1 year and working really hard to get to Manchester. And Manchester is a small place in Indiana. It was very not scary, but I was going to a different country, to a small town, didn't know anybody, and that's where I've met all of my friends. I met my wife there, and to say basketball has been the driving factor of my life is a true statement. I wouldn't be living in this house with 2 kids on the way if I didn't go after basketball the way I did, and I couldn't see it any other way looking back on it. So, I mean, basketball has been the dictating factor of everything in my life in every way, shape, and form. As far as what you learn from playing sports and basketball, I mean, in going to school and taking a risk to just go to some random place that you don't know anybody, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn how to adapt to difficult situations, to take a step forward into the unknown and realize that you can handle it means that you can do that more times in your life, and you have the confidence to be able to do that. And so basketball, all of the implications and what it's done for my life has been amazing, and I wouldn't have done it any other way.
That's pretty deep, Coach Peter. I gotta say, basketball literally made you the man you are today.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow, thank you so much for that answer. That actually gave me a little bit of goosebumps. Coach Oli, you got anything else?
Yeah. Hey, Coach Peter, I'm back. I have a question for you. So, what was your driving force to succeed? So, your motivation, going, even before you started basketball, what made you want to pursue basketball, and how did you help yourself and prepare yourself for that?
Driving force to succeed. I mean, at a young age, I liked being rewarded for doing good stuff. And when I failed and didn't get those rewards, I mean, it seems kind of lame to say it out loud, but I was like actually upset and pissed about it. I did crave the recognition that you get when you are good at something. Even before I played basketball, I did gymnastics when I was really young, and I was good at that. And I won a lot of awards and medals, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I want to keep doing that.
Right.
Yeah, just practicing all the time. It wasn't ever hard for me specifically because I was chasing being as good as I could be at whatever I was doing.
Right. And you mentioned earlier that your goal was to go to like a D2 or D3 level school for primarily basketball.
Yeah.
That was one of your driving forces, I guess.
Yeah, it was a big driving force, and I mean, like I had to be realistic. I mean, like when you're a kid, it's like I want to play in the NBA. Well, yeah, it's probably not happening. And then I was like, I want to go D1. Yeah, that's probably not happening the older I get. But so I hit a realistic goal, so I knew I could possibly get it. But yeah, realistic goals are better motivators than fictional ones, or ones that are impossible to attain. At least that's what I think. So.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for answering my question.
Coach, that was Coach Anand saying he has goosebumps. For me, I just sit back and enjoy just hearing your story. And obviously I know part of the story because I was around for the beginning parts, but just to hear the man that you've become from the teenage kid that I coached back then to now the man you become. You have a beautiful son and another child on the way. You're married and you're doing well for yourself as a Canuck in America. To me, it's the ultimate joy because again, going back to that team from 2007 with the likes of you, Matt, Clinton. I remember some of the other guys, Tony. That was a real joy. Coach, before we let you go, if there was one or two things you can say to youth maybe listening to this, or grassroots player listening to this, or even a parent listening to this, but mainly the youth, there's one or two things you would say to them about life and about basketball and achieving their goals, what would those be?
Yeah, to the youth, I would tell them, if you're passionate about the game, then work really, really, really hard at it, and then you'll go as far as you're supposed to go. Listen to your coaches, and I mean that to the point where, like, once you're an adult and you look back on your basketball career, you're like, things make sense to you then, like make sense to you when you're older. Back then, what the coaches were always telling you to do, even like the little things, like how to close out and how to do that, how to like play help side defense. You hear it when you're a kid and you understand it, but you don't focus on those small aspects in games, and that can hold you back. So if you want to reach your goals and you're passionate about it, just pay attention to what they're saying, and consciously in a game, realize like, oh, this is a situation where I need to close out. I'm going to close out hard like we did in practice, or whatever. I'm going to be in the right spot for help side because the ball's there and my man's wherever. But pay attention to those things. That'll make you the best player that you can be. It'll help you reach your goals. And like I said, if you're passionate, that's what you got to do, because you can get to be an adult and realize like, yeah, I could have paid a little bit more attention for things here and there. That's what I would say. I do want to say one thing to the parents, if there are parents listening to this podcast: let your kids play, let your kids practice, and let the coaches coach. You guys can take a step back no matter how much experience you have. I mean, you guys have mentioned how I have a son, and I know for a fact that if I'm not his coach, then the coach is going to coach my son's teams, and I'm going to step back and just cheer in the stands. But I have nothing to add to the coach for him to say or anything like that. I'd be advice to parents.
No doubt. That's awesome. Thank you for that, Coach Oli.
Yeah. Thanks, Coach Peter, for sharing your experience with us at the D3 level, and as well as personal experiences. So on behalf of Form Basketball Academy, we'd like to thank you for spending your time on our podcast and being here. Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks so much, Coach. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, we just said goodbye to Coach Peter Krill, Canadian living down, I should say, in Indiana. Just really good for me personally as the producer of the show, but just to listen to, like I said, listen to Coach and just be really proud of the man he's become. We'll be going to commercial break and now we'll be right back.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Form Basketball Academy, located in Vancouver, BC. Form Basketball Academy offers multifaceted programs, including one-on-one private training and film study, with NCCP nationally certified coaches. To find out more information about this and other program or league opportunities, check them out at formbasketball.com. Form Basketball Academy. Become your best with us.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We just said goodbye to Coach Peter Krill from Indiana. Gents, Coach Oli, we'll start with you. What did you take away from Coach Krill?
Well, especially the last thing he said, the tip that he left for us, for the audience was always listen to your coaches, no matter, like, even though you don't understand it, you might not understand it at the time, but maybe later on in life you will. You'll look back and you'll be like, oh, that's what he was talking about, and it might even apply to your current situation. As far as what he said about the parents letting us play, we also have to be grateful that our parents are letting us play, and they travel with us, they take us to our games and practices, so we have to be thankful for them as well. So Coach Peter left some very useful tips.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach Anand?
Oh, well, when he said to us about how basketball really defined him as a person, it really made me take a step back and think, like, yeah, because if you think about it, everyone listening to this podcast right now, and even us coaches, we're all here for one thing. We're all here because of one thing: basketball. Like this, I'm just going to speak something very briefly. During COVID, this quarantine, I was losing my mind, and the only thing that really kept me sane through this whole thing was shooting some hoops in my backyard. And it's really defined me. It's really made me think about, because I've had zero distractions through COVID, through our quarantine, and my focus was on basketball, and it really helped me be who I am still today because of all the hard stuff that's going on. And I don't know, basketball's taking me to so many different places, and it's giving me so many new options and paths in my life that you really don't get to appreciate it until someone who's already gone down that road says it to you. So I don't know, kind of hit me deep. I was like a wow factor for a little second.
Yeah, no doubt. And we always like to say, shout out to Coach Chang at University of Windsor, and I always like to say, we say to our university athletes, we say to our men's guys especially, we say, who are you without basketball?
Yeah.
Right? We ask that. We're not saying that to say, oh, life can't, basketball can't take you anywhere in life. But if basketball stopped today, who would you be? And for Coach Krill, he's a husband, he is a father,
Yeah,
he's a firefighter, right? And yes, basketball opened up many doors for him, but the lessons that he learned from basketball helped him become the man he is today. And I know I've said that a few times throughout this podcast, but it's really, really true. So for those who are listening, and especially the younger generation, it's really something that we want you to really, really buy into, right? Really, really think and really say to yourself, who am I, whether you're a male or female, who am I without basketball? And when you add that basketball component to things, then it makes it that much more special. It makes it that much of a bonus situation. Interesting story, two quick stories about Coach is he didn't mention it. So one of the things that a lot of people don't know about him is that he has Raynaud's. And so for people that don't know, Raynaud's is when the tips and your extremities of your fingers and your toes and that, they don't get enough circulation. So he mentioned that he does cross country. He used to do cross country running. So when you talk about an athlete who is in phenomenal shape, Coach Krill is in phenomenal shape. Phenomenal shape. he never came off the court. But there'll be a few times in the game where his hands got so cold that he'd look at me, and him and I knew it. I was like, all right, you got to sub him out. And we either had gloves for him or he'd put his hands underneath his armpits, warm them up for about 45 seconds to a minute, and back in the game he goes. And it didn't happen every game. It happened some games. And so when you talk about cross training, when we talk about really honing your craft and being the best that you can be, Coach Krill was that, and on a very, 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 very talented team, because 4 or 5 of those guys, actually 5, trying to remember now, probably 5 or 6 of those guys went on to play USports, and a couple of them went to play pro. And that's not just because of Coach Paul. It's they truly bought into the team culture. And talking about team culture, we were going to a tournament in Hamilton, Ontario, and our best player, shout out to Matt Fennell, missed practice. He missed practice. And not because he forgot, he had a awards banquet that he needed to go to, and he just slipped his mind to let me know in time. Now, our team rule is that if you miss practice, you sit a half. So we get to Hamilton the Friday night. We're playing Hamilton Wildcats, and we were atop a AAA program, and they're a AAA program in OBA. And so I say to the team captains, Peter is one of them, and Matt was one of them, but he didn't get to count in this. And Tony was our other captain. I said, you guys decide as a team what you want to do. Whether we let Matt play because he had a good reason, it was for school related, or we stick to our team rule. And shout out to him and shout out to Tony Sanders, if you're ever listening to this. You guys were great team captains that year, because they came to me before the game and said, Coach, we understand that Matt's our best player. We understand he was, had to be away for school-related things, but the team rule is still the team rule. So Matt has to sit a half, just like anybody else. And so I talked to Matt before the game, talked to his parents. Everyone was all on board. And Matt sat that half as we played a AAA top program in the province. And Matt didn't pout. Matt didn't, bitch, moan, complain. He sat there and he just cheered on his teammates. And Peter and the rest of the guys really held the fort down for us, really, 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 really stepped up. And in the second half, Matt scored 36 points in the second half.
Wow.
And we lost that game. We ended up losing that game by 2.
Oh,
right?
tough.
How'd that feel?
I don't know. I was okay with it. The McMaster coach at the time, shout out to Coach Riz, came up to me and said, hey, Paul, what's going on here? Like, why do you sit the half? And I explained to him, and he said, you know what? I respect that. So even though I haven't coached Peter in years, I haven't coached Matt, any of those guys, I still respect that team. I respect the hell out of them, because they bought into the team culture. They bought into the team rule, and they played literally for each other. So we ended up going Division 1 in provincials, Ontario Cup, and we almost had the upset victory in the first game of the tournament against the number 1 team, against Ottawa Guardsmen. We almost beat them. We lost them by, I think, 8. And we had a poor start, but again, we respect that team. Now, that brought back memories to me, gave me the shivers. If we talk about tournaments, talk about Ontario Cup, now we talk about March Madness. Coach Oli, who do you got for your brackets?
Can I say like top 3, top 4?
Yeah, who's your final 4?
Final 4. Gonzaga. I got Iowa. I don't think Baylor's gonna make the Final 4, honestly. Who else?
But hold on, Coach, real quick. Gonzaga and Iowa can't make the Final 4 because they're in the same bracket.
Oh, they're in the same bracket. Never mind. Gonzaga. Who's Ohio State? I think they're in the separate bracket, right?
You want to go with Iowa State? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Who else? I think I'll say Gonzaga's winning the whole thing, honestly.
Gonzaga. All right. He's like, doesn't matter who's the Final 4.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's the Final 4.
Coach Anand, who do you got in the Final 4?
Well, like Coach Peter said earlier, if it's not for money, I have to go Gonzaga. At my workplace, we have a couple of Gonzaga alums. One of them actually played on the team, and a couple years back, talking about like 15 years ago. And he wasn't a great player. He wasn't like a star player or anything, but he still has connections with the coaches and stuff. And he's giving me the entire scoop. He says they're doing really well. So that's where, if I have my money on them, I take Gonzaga. I know there's a game coming up. Was it tonight? Who was it against? I think it was UCLA versus Michigan State. For that game, I'm just gonna say my little piece about this game that's happening. I say UCLA's got the dub. Pretty excited to see how this goes though.
You're playing right now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna watch that game, but
I think
for this
UCLA is
podcast.
gonna take tonight's game.
Same. I'm rooting for them.
What are they, like 17-9 right now? Believe so. Higher. I think that I'm pretty sure they have a higher win percentage than Michigan State right now. So yeah, UCLA has always been a fan favorite of mine. Like I don't know, Alonzo Ball came out there and that really got my attention back in the day. So yeah.
All right. Well,
What about you, Producer P? Let's hear
I'm
it.
gonna go against you guys on that
Oh
because
my goodness, of course.
I have, first of all, I've played at the Breslin Center before. Second of all, I've and hung out with Coach Tom Izzo. Shout out to Tom Izzo over at Michigan State. He's a phenomenal person and a wonderful and amazing coach. So it's not because I know Coach that I'm saying this. I've always been
Biased opinion.
No, when I was always in high school, I always wore MSU or UNC. Those are the two teams I always wore as far as apparel. And the thing I'm saying about Michigan State is that they've been to the dance before many times and they've had deep runs. UCLA hasn't been in a while. So if you're going to go and try to bet against Coach Izzo, I don't know about that. It's like betting against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Okay,
You want to make that bet?
you're calling coaches of Tom Brady?
I'm saying there's certain coaches you don't bet against.
No disrespect to the coaches of Michigan State. But I'm just talking about percentage-wise. So far, I'm going based off statistics, and that's my thing. We can put a bet against the coach. What are we doing? What?
We'll do it offline. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
What's the score right now?
You stay UCLA, I'll stay Michigan State. But my final four are the following: Gonzaga, Alabama, UNC, and wait for it, it's going to blow your mind.
No way.
Houston. Yeah, you heard it here first.
Didn't just say Houston.
Houston.
Say Houston.
They're always seated top, but like they never make it. Like they always get kicked off.
Oh,
Gentlemen,
cursed.
this is the year. You shall see.
They're cursed.
Houston
my.
strong. Hashtag Houston strong. That's what I'm saying.
What's up with you in Houston, Coach?
Those are my four. Gentlemen,
right.
you each are going to be asked two questions. So I'll ask the question, you both will answer. I'll ask the second question, you both will answer. We'll give, because Coach and I like to talk a lot, we'll give you guys 30 seconds this time.
If I remember properly, Coach Oli went 50 seconds over the limit last time.
You were 50 seconds. That was 30 seconds.
I counted, Coach.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's hear it.
You don't know how to count. All right. Coach Oli.
Yes, sir.
For you, sir, you start us off. What would your pregame speech be like in a March Madness type setting?
Oh, wow.
To win, like, just first round?
TikTok.
Doesn't matter.
All
what
right.
round.
Hold on. We're starting right now.
TikTok.
All right.
Starting now. I'm timing. Go.
All right, guys. We made it. This is it. This is the big dance. That's it. I just want to get them hyped. Like, there's not much I can like. Well, like you've made it. Like, congratulations.
TikTok.
All right. Okay, Coach Anand, Mr. Laugh a Lot. What is your pregame speech?
Coach, I was the captain of my team when I was back in high school. I was the king of this type of stuff. I'm born for hyping my team up. Okay. You say I'm talking to my team right now.
TikTok.
Yeah, you're eating up your time, so you better.
All right, bet.
Quick.
All right, boys, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we trained our asses off day and night, blood, sweat, and tears put into this very moment right here. Let's go out there and crush these mofos. Done. I didn't swear. I was tough. I usually swear a lot when I'm getting hyped, but I didn't.
Oh, this is a family-friendly show, so no dropping F-bombs.
Welcome, guys.
Question number 2, Coach Anand, you'll start.
All right.
A player comes to you as a coach and says, "Coach, I want to go play next level." What do you say to them?
How bad do you want to? because it's all about your effort. I can only get you so far, but you got to meet me halfway. If you are willing to work your ass off and train, get in the gym before everyone, and leave the gym after everyone, and you train your ass off, and I'll get you the connections. You just got to put your part in. That's about it. It's not about the coaches. The coach can only do so much. The player has to stand up for himself and really show everyone, hey, I'm about this and I'm ready for this, the next level.
All right. Coach Oli, a player comes to you as a coach and says, Coach Oli, I want to go play next level. What do you say to them?
I'll say I got you. Like you said before, for this to be, if an athlete goes up to you and asks like, can we shoot around? Can we do a quick workout, or wake you up at like 6:30 in the morning to go for a run? You do it with them, right? So I would do the same thing for whoever's coming up to me, asking for help, advice, tips, anything. I'd work out with them as well.
You grind it out.
Push them to the next level.
No doubt. No doubt. Gentlemen, before we say our goodbyes, those listening, hit us up on our socials. You can find us on Instagram at f.o.r.m._basketball. We selected our spring teams. We'll have, for the first time ever in history of our program, we're going to have a girls team. So we're pretty excited about that. And we're going to have two boys teams. Yeah, first time we're going to have girls in our program.
Awesome.
Then we have two boys teams.
So good.
What was that?
Some of these girls are. I'm gonna admit it. In high school, I never really watched the girls play, but then in my senior year, I watched some of these senior girls play, and they can cook half of these guys I know. Like half of my friends, like they're about it. They are seriously about it. Like they don't play. It's scary watching them play. And some of these girls are so big too, like they're tall, and I'm like, holy, they could take us. I don't know.
Well, we'll be sure to make some video footage of our practices, of our hopefully we get into some games at some point in time. We'll post that on our socials, so you got to follow us on our socials. Few more housekeeping. We have our training camps coming up with our squads. If you missed tryouts for whatever reason, you need to DM us on Instagram. Once again, that's f.o.r.m._basketball. And let us know why you missed tryouts, because I think we did a good job of putting the information out there. And we will discuss as a coaching staff if we will extend an invitation to you to come to training camp to do your tryout there. All right. Coach Anand, send us home.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Been a Minute. We appreciate every single one of you guys, and take it easy. Peace.
Peace out.